Hello and welcome to our video on how to watermark your images before you send them off or put them online. It comes from a question that was asked by a student, so I'm just going to talk you through the process of watermarking your image and then exporting it from Lightroom. First thing you have to do is you can, in Lightroom, add a watermark to any image when you export it, but sometimes you may want to add your own business logo or your own photography company logo to your image rather than just have text. So I'm going to quickly show you how to best save your image or your logo so you can import it later on into Lightroom and do your exporting with your picture on there as the graphic logo. So first off, I have our Wolverhampton College photography logo on here, and it's saved to a white background at the moment. Now, if we want to put it onto all of our images, so all of our final images have the same logo on it, there's a couple of things we can do to make it very quick and very simple for us, ready for when we come to working in Lightroom. So I've opened the picture up, and here's our logo, and you'll see there's only just the picture as it is on the background layer. But to turn it into a suitable logo for our Lightroom export, we want to get rid of this white background so it sits on the picture and we can see bits of the photograph behind it. Your own company logo or your own photography business logo may have a white square on it, and you might want it that way, and that's fine. But for the purpose of our video, we're going to remove it. And it's very quick and very simple to do. So we've got our picture that we've uploaded. You can make your graphic however you want it to be. But all you've got to do is, once it's in, we're going to go over to our rubber tool, and we're going to check that we've got the magic eraser tool selected, and then we're just going to click on the white area around, so it will delete all of that, and you'll see that when you look at specific areas, if I zoom in to 300% of this image, so it's gone a bit pixel on the side, but it won't matter when it's on the pictures, you'll see there are still some bits of the white background in there, especially in the circular letters like the O's, the tops of the R's, inside the A. And I'm just going to quickly go around and make sure that they're all removed, which they are, and that is that. That's ready to be used as our logo. So we're going to save that as a logo somewhere on our computer. To do that, we'll go up to File, we're going to Save As. Now I'm going to save this to my desktop just so it's easier to find. Now I'm going to create a new folder now and just call it Logos. So it's going to be saved into the Logos file. That's the name of the image. You may call it whatever you want to. But when we're going to save it, what we want to do is, so we don't have that white background on there, is the Save As type. We're going to select the drop down, and we want to save it as a PNG file, which is just down here. And that will mean it doesn't add that white background back to the picture, so it sits as a graphic file on top of the image. So that's in there and it's all saved. We're going to save that image. It's going to ask for our PNG options, which you want to keep it as a large file size, and just press OK. And that is that saved. So we have that logo. Now, some of you may not have an image that you want to use as a logo. You may just want to use it as a text watermark, which is fine. You can type that up straight into Lightroom when you come to export, or you could also do it as a Photoshop file. So here's an empty Photoshop document. This is just one I've started up fresh, so it's a blank background layer, and then with our college font I've just written the logo and the title of our company onto the background. And same again, all we're going to do is make sure we select onto the background, the white layer, with our magic eraser tool selected, and then on the white, click it, and it has removed all of that white background. And if you want to use it just as a text one, we can save it. Now I'm going to save this twice to show two quite useful things that you may want to use. So first off, I'm going to go to File again, Save As. It's in my folder called Logos, and this one I'm going to call Text Logo, and I'll call this one Text Logo BLK, short for black, and save it as a PNG file. So it's that graphic folder. Save it, press OK, and it's done. Now, some of the images you save may have or you're trying to save may have a very dark background, so if you put a black watermark on there, you may lose them. So to counteract that, one of the things we can do is invert that to make it white text. So we have two versions of the logo, depending on what we want to do. So to do that, very straightforward. Click on our text layer, press the keyboard shortcut Control and I to invert. Now it's gone a little bit harder to see against the light background, but it says the same words, but we've just inverted it to white. And I'm going to say the exact same thing again. This time I'm going to call it, I'll save it as a PNG file, just so the name comes back up so I can make sure it's spelled the same. And I'm going to text logo, but this time change the black to white. And then save that. And that is saved. So I can minimize Photoshop down onto the desktop. And then up in the top of my computer I have a folder called logo. And in there I have got 3 logos. And if I hover my mouse over them, maybe if I just enlarge them for you so you can see them. If I hover my cursor over, you'll see all of the white bits in here go blue, which shows you there's nothing left behind there. So it's just a graphic folder. If I go over the one that's the white square and hover over it, you'll see City of Wolverhampton College appears with the graph folder in on there, likewise. And we're then going to use these pictures in Lightroom to add a watermark, to export them, to finish them off, and then we can upload them to the internet or make sure our clients or people who are using them on social media have our watermark on our pictures. So we're going to jump over to Lightroom now and start finishing things off. Right, here we are in Lightroom, and we're going to look at what we do when we've finished editing our pictures. So in early videos we looked at what you do when you first do your shoot and you make your contact sheet. We've looked at how to edit your pictures in Lightroom, and now we're looking at what to do when we export them and finish them off and what we might want to do with those. Mainly looking at how to watermark our images and also save them for the web and your websites and things like that. So first thing we've got to do is bring in our collection of our finished photographs. So I'm going to go up to File at the top. We're going to select Import Photos and Videos, and then using this screen we've got to find where on our computer we've saved our final pictures. So I know for the purpose of this video I've saved mine to the desktop. So I'm just going to click here, select desktop, and it's going to give me a collection of all of the pictures. So here's my desktop. My pictures I've saved into a folder called Finished Photos, and here's a collection of images we took from one of our recent trips to Florence with some photography students, and these are all edited up, a mix of street photography and portraits that we took around while we were there. I'm going to import those into Lightroom now, and it should be relatively quick. There are 40 photographs in the full set. So these have all been worked through and they've all been edited, and I'm happy with the black and whites and the contrast and all the different things for those. And we've got all of the collection of the pictures here. We've got some landscape shots, we've got some street portrait shots, we've got some graffiti and all different kinds of things that we saw on our time. Now with these collection of pictures, we may want to put them onto our social media page like Facebook, or we might want to put them onto our Instagram pages, and just so people know who took them, we're going to watermark them. And we're going to save these, export these out of Photoshop, and we're going to watermark them and look at how you can watermark them. And where you put your watermark very much depends on your personal preference of how you want your pictures to look when they're on the web or when you pass them to somebody. And so I'll talk you through some of those options. So to export when you finish editing, you select the first one, make sure that's highlighted. You're going to go right the way along to the very last one and select Shift and click on the last one. So they're now all highlighted. So it knows that 40 photographs out of 40 are selected. So they're all done. And then we're going to go back up to File and we're going to select Export. And then we'll get this Export menu. And you just work your way down. So there's a couple of things that you can do when you're exporting. First thing that we want to do is I don't want all of my final pictures to only have the watermark on them. So I want to keep the originals as they are, these ones. They're all going to be safe. And I'm going to make a watermarked set, and I'm going to make a set that's small to go onto social media or a website, so they're not too big, because these pictures are roughly between 5 and 10 megabytes per picture, and lots of websites don't want them, and certainly Instagram and things, you don't want to be uploading massive full resolution files because they're only going to be looked at on camera phones and tablets, so you don't need to have humongous files on there. So, export location, where do I want these pictures to go? I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to go to my desktop where they were, into my finished photos, and I'm going to create a separate folder in here, which is going to be called Final Watermarks. That's Final Watermark photos, so they'll all be exported into a separate folder. You can change the name if you want to anything specifically, so you could call them the copyright and whatever you wanted it to be. I'm just going to give them a custom name. Right. Florence, but I'll put WM for meaning watermark because they're the first ones I'm going to do. Scroll down, it's nothing to worry about the video. If you're exporting them and you want to limit them to a smaller size, which we'll do in a little bit, you can limit that into kilobytes. So 2000 kilobytes is 2 megabytes. That's a good size to limit them to if you wanted to. If you want to keep them full resolution, you can turn that off and leave the quality at 100. So they'll stay at full size large photographs. For the purpose of this video, so I haven't got to export things twice, I'm going to watermark my pictures and export them at a low resolution because these ones are just going to go on something like social media. If you're exporting them because you want to give someone a full res photograph, then you don't want to tick that. You want to keep it at the maximum quality, so it'll still be a huge quality picture with the watermark on it. For the purpose of the video, I'm going to keep mine smaller. So if you do want to limit the size of your pictures for any reason, you can just click Limit File Size to, tick the box, and then it's in kilobytes, and there's 1000 kilobytes in 1 megabyte. So 2000 kilobytes is 2 megabytes saved. You can angle all of the edges if you want to limit the megapixel count. You can put on the metadata, output for sharpening. But what I want to do is watermark. So I'm going to tick that I want to watermark it. Drop down. Now I have a bunch of different watermarks saved for other work that I do, but I'm going to show you how to make one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to Edit Watermarks, which will bring me into the new screen here, and I want to find those logos that I made before. So image options, please choose a JPEG or a PNG image. So click choose. Find where you saved your images, your logos to. So there's my folder of logos. Click that, and I've got my black graphic one, the white graphic text one, and the actual image logo. Now you can use whichever one you've picked, just for the purposes of what we're going to do. I'm going to select one with the graphic logo, and then choose that. So that will load up. So that's loaded up down in the bottom corner down here. Now so I can see it, and you can choose. I'm going to scroll down. You've got things like watermark effect. So the opacity is how bright or how visible it is. You can turn that way down, so it fades right down. I'm going to keep mine at full opacity so it's very clear. As you go down here, you can set the proportions of it, so you can make it loads bigger or much smaller. You can make it fit frame, you can make it fill the whole frame, and you've just got to decide whereabouts you want that. So I personally, some people would like to put watermarks right the way through the middle. I don't really like putting them through the middle, so I'm just going to use the horizontal and vertical. You can position whereabouts you want that. So you'll see that's just raising up. I'm going to have it so it's about not touching the edges. On the bottom. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to keep mine just to about size 16. So it's not too big, it's not too small, it's just enough. It's in there. Then you can pick which point of the picture you want it. So I could have it in the top right, I could have it in the top left, I could have it in the bottom left, I could have it in the bottom right, you could have it smack bang in the middle, depending on, some people like to put them right the way through the middle of the picture. Personally, I don't, but I'm going to keep mine for the purpose of this in the bottom left, and you can have yours wherever you want it to be. And I've made that as a sample watermark. I'm going to save that. So I'm going to ask you to title what you want your watermark to be. So I'll call it bottom left, just so Wolf Coal logo photo, bottom left. So it's on the bottom left, because I may want to make another one where I want it on the other side, or a text one. Create that. And now that's saved for good. Like, you'll have that always for if you bring any new photos in, you can save the other ones. And you'll always position that, so you have all of the different ones you can make a Wolf Coal bottom right, middle, text, and you select which one you want. I want it in the bottom left, and you do that, and that's fine. And then once you're done, you just press export. It's going to export 40 files at 2 megabytes each, so I'm not exporting these at full res. You may want to do that for your pictures, but this little loading bar is going to go all the way across, and once it's done, you'll see that all of the pictures have been exported with a watermark. While that's doing it, and you can see that it's doing that, I'm going to go back to my desktop, and you'll see that I have got a folder called Final Watermark Photos loaded up. Just to go back, here are all my original pictures, and then the folder I just asked my images to export at, Final Watermark Photos. If I go in there and I click on any one of these pictures, you'll see the picture loads up, and on it is a watermark. And that's the same for all of these final photographs, no matter what they are. So, like a flower on there. You'll see if we look at this watermark here, if I just zoom into it. Now this watermark here would have benefited if we would have used maybe some white text on there. That's showing the importance of why you might want to save multiple versions of your logo. So one with white text, one with black text, like we did before. If you're doing this for somebody and you want to make sure that your logo is really clearly seen, then that's something to consider, and making alternate different versions so your logo can clearly be seen on there. But if I go for example here, Florence 36, there's a guy, we've got our watermark down on the bottom, just so we know we've not lost any of our original photographs. Back out to the main ones, let's look for that picture again, so there it is, load that, and there we have the original one without the watermark, so we've got both versions. What I want to show you finally is we've used our logos in Photoshop. So we've used the graphic one and we've used the text one, and we've saved those. But if you don't have access to Photoshop, or you don't particularly want to make your logo in Photoshop and you want to do everything in Lightroom, you can also make a watermark very simply using Lightroom. So if I go back into Lightroom, here are our final pictures all lined up again. I'm going to show you how to export them with a watermark just using Lightroom. So all these pictures are edited, as we've said before. I'm not going to pick all of them now, just so it saves time. To select individual ones, I'm going to pick this one here maybe, pick the one of the flower, pick the picture of a cat, and then we'll just pick one more, something else that looks nice and interesting, maybe one of the nice landscapes. Then we've got our first one. So we've picked 4 pictures, a nice different mix of everything going on. And we're going to do the watermark for these. And again, you can do it for all of them in one go. By going File, Export, and then we've got to go for our export menu again. So at the very top, where do you want to save these? We want to save them in my finished photos folder still, like we did with the last ones. But I'm going to change the name where this folder will be. So we'll call these Final Watermarked Photos, and we'll add just text, just so we know which ones that they're going to be. They're going to be text watermarks. Keep the name to Florence Watermark, and you can change that if you want to. For a different way of doing it, the last ones we capped their size. These ones I'm going to keep at 100%, so they're going to be the original resolution, and they're just going to have a watermark on them, so they're the same as the original pictures. Uncheck that, keep the quality at 100, so keep the quality of these photographs without capping them down. Scroll down again, not worried about image sizing at the moment, not worried about sharpening, not worried about metadata. You've got our wolf coal photo bottom left still, so it saves all your old watermarks if you want to reuse it. We're going to make one inside Lightroom, so I'm just going to click the drop down, edit watermarks, and then rather than picking a graphic, we're just going to pick watermark style and click text. And that here has just come up with one I've used before, copyright wolf coal photo, but you could change that to whatever name you wanted it to be. So you can put your own name, you can put your own photography business name down there, but you'll see it adds the text to it. You can pick any font on your computer, so you'll have a whole host of fonts that are saved to your computer. You can pick any of those. I'll keep Barlow. The style of that font, I'll keep mine bold, but you can change it. You can align the font however you might want it to be, left, right or centre. Pick the colour of it. You can add a drop shadow to the font, so click shadow, and then you can offset. Actually, you can probably just about see it, but just down here, you can see you can raise that shadow up, and you can move it around and change it all. I'm going to keep mine off for the purpose, but you could have one of those. The opacity could be 100 or lower. I'm going to put my opacity on this one just a little bit lower, so maybe about 60% for now. Again, check these options if they're what you want to use. But what I'm going to do now is do something that some people like doing, and then put it in the middle. Now that will go straight for a center of your picture. It really means that if someone's going to download your pictures off the internet, they're going to do quite a lot of work to get rid of it through all this busy photograph. But it's in there. You can use it to create the size, so you could have it so it runs across the whole of that picture like that. Same as before, you could have it in the different corners like we do with the graphic. They both work the exact same. I'm going to go back, just check the opacity. You could have it full. I wouldn't keep it on 100 because you'll lose all the detail behind the text. I'm going to fade it down, yeah, just to about 50% maybe. Might work nicely. So then you can see the watermark through it, but you can still see the pictures in there. And then save that, I'm happy with that. Give this one a new name. So we'll call this wolf coal photo text middle. Just so I know where it is, and create that. And now in your watermarks, we've created a new one, but we still have the bottom left that you could select if you wanted to use that one with the graphic again for some more pictures later on. So you haven't got to do this every single time. You just create one of these once in your catalogues. And then we're going to hit export. It's just going to export those 4 pictures this time. And then if I go back out to my desktop, you'll see I've now got all my original pictures, the watermark with the graphic pictures, and now just so there's a bit of difference, watermark photos here, where you can see they just have a very faint copyright logo running right through. So that's a couple of different ways of watermarking your pictures. You decide out of personal preference whereabouts you want them to go and how you want your logo to look and what fonts and things you want to pick. But that's a good way of exporting them. And we've looked at exporting them full size with a watermark, exporting them capped size with a watermark. If you just want to export them when you've finished editing, you don't select a watermark and you export them. That was a quick little run through of some different options of watermarking your pictures using Adobe Lightroom. Thanks for watching, and I hope that helped. See you next time.